Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host, James Dillard. With me, as always, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
I'm good. I'm good. Hope everybody out there is doing great.
Doing great. I'm a little further away and trying a little different setup here, but I might go back to the old setup next time. But it definitely won't change the audio. We have a great show tonight. We're putting you, the college football fan, on high alert. We're telling you what you need to know and may not be aware of about this fall's football games. We'll also catch up on all the important topics in sports, especially in Clemson. And we have a huge announcement coming at the end of the show. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and all forms of social media. The Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
And also brought to you by Reuben's Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering, the best wings around. And there are 2 locations in the upstate to serve your wing needs. 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. You can find them at RubensC.com. Rubens is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans.
There's definitely such a thing as wing needs.
Yes.
The Fun Fans Podcast is now also brought to you by Ivy O'Sullivan Healthcare Services. At Ivy O'Sullivan, they are more than just chiropractors. Since 1977, this family-owned business located in downtown Spartanburg has been helping people with techniques other than the typical twisting and popping that can sometimes make people nervous about trying a chiropractor. I've been a patient my entire life, and I take my own children there as well. If you have an ache or a pain, give Ivy O'Sullivan Healthcare a try. And if you mention the Fun Fans Podcast, they will donate 100% of your initial evaluation cost to their charity of the month. So call them at 864-583-3967. That's 864-583-3967, or find them at ivyosullivan.com to feel better and function at your best. All right, Bailey. So we are going to do one of the things that we do. The fans are going to hear something tonight that they probably won't hear anywhere else. There's all this talk about conference expansion, and, you know, the Southeastern Conference isn't really just in the Southeast, and the ACC now is going coast to coast and all this kind of stuff. And there's definitely been talk about, you know, how that affects the players. But what we're going to talk about tonight, and when we're putting folks on high alert, because it could not even be a thing, or it could be a big deal to certain fans when some of these games are going to be played. All right. So we did a little research, and we're not going to go through the entire season because that would take a while. But the first one up, Texas Tech at Washington State. It's a 10 p.m. Eastern. Okay. So you got Texas Tech, Washington State. That's at Washington State. So that's a 9 p.m. kickoff local time for the Texas Tech fans. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, you know, especially once we talk about people our age, for some folks that might not be a big deal. But if a game kicks off at 9 o'clock and I'm at the house, I'm gonna have trouble being awake for second half.
Yeah, well, you have to. If you're a big fan, you gotta plan your day. You gotta get a nap in, and it always works better for me if I nap right before the game and then wake up, because then I won't go back to sleep.
There you go. Fun fan tip. Take a nap. Yep. Mississippi State at Arizona State is a 9:30 local kickoff for Mississippi State fans. So that's similar, a little bit worse scenario. So be ready for that, Mississippi State fans. Okay, and then we really, as we go through the schedule, we get into some games where the time has not been announced. And that brings up all kind of scenarios where some people don't like playing the what-if game. I'm kind of a what-if guy. So UCLA at LSU. Mm-hmm. Okay. What if that game is a noon kickoff, and they noon Eastern, and LSU and those Central folks, they're, from what we've heard, they're kind of used to having 11 a.m. kickoffs. They've kind of
sometimes, yep.
That would kind of, we don't even like noon games too much around here, but they're doing that 11 a.m. thing. But if they're kicking off at noon Eastern, if you're the UCLA fan, it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right, but at the same time, I've argued for years that West Coast fans have a great Sunday because the first NFL game's at 10 o'clock.
Yes. So there's pros and cons to that one.
Right.
UCLA fans, you got to get up, make your breakfast, and maybe be ready to watch that game. All right, Cal at FSU, same scenario. If that's a noon game, those folks out on the West Coast take advantage of it. Look at it as a positive. have a little football with your 3-egg omelet. Northwestern at Washington. Okay, that one's still TBD. And we know historically those Pac-12 games, those West Coast games, they like to put those in those late night Eastern, the 9:30, 10 p.m., 10:30 kickoff spot. What if that one is a 10:30 p.m. kickoff? That will be what would that be? That'd be a 9:30. That's a 9:30 local for Northwestern again.
Yeah. I mean, look, is
That
anybody going to watch that?
Maybe.
I'm not.
All right. Well, here's the deal.
It's going to be pretty special to keep me up.
Well, okay. Speaking of Tennessee at Oklahoma.
Okay.
That's one that a lot of your all across the country fans are going to want to watch. Probably Tennessee at Oklahoma. That one could end up being a late game.
That's,
and that's only
3:30. That's 3:30 on
3:30
CBS.
Eastern. It's got 3:30.
Brad Nessler and what's his name?
All right,
Gary
so
Danielson.
That's only through week 3. Week 4 seems okay, and then we get to week 5. Stanford at Clemson. That one's still that's going to be fine for us. But once again, if it's a noon game, those folks out in Stanford, they're going to be getting up and watching that with their breakfast
in Palo Alto, California.
Now, this is what makes it interesting. We're gonna, like you were assuming, and I'm not disagreeing. I think you're probably right about the 3:30 kickoff for Tennessee, Oklahoma. However, you never know when you get into the season who's good, who's bad. The TV gods start laying down all these times. There's a time already set for the week 6 Syracuse at UNLV, and it is a 9 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
And it's already set because it's a Friday night game.
Right.
So on a Friday night, the Syracuse fans, I mean, they'll be staying up late after working all day. Might be hard taking a nap.
Yeah.
They need to come home and take a nap. Here's one, and we'll watch this one. Virginia Tech at Stanford. Miami at Cal. Ohio State at Oregon, and that's another one that the whole country is going to be interested in. That's probably going to be a 3:30 kickoff, we hope.
Or 8 p.m. Eastern, which is only 5 out there. So
yes, now that works great for them. But
right.
Speaking of that, these Friday night games, if they do a 7 p.m. Eastern on a Friday night for a West Coast team, they're still at work as 4 o'clock.
Right. Well, I think there's got to be a little bit of common sense where they don't do that, where they say we can't start a game at USC at 4 p.m.
You would think. So the fun thing, really, we need to send this podcast into ESPN and ABC because just in case they hadn't thought about that.
See if we get a little feedback.
Yeah. All right. So Clemson specifically, we've already talked about the previously mentioned Stanford at Clemson and across Clemson's schedule. That's the only one of such concern, just FYI.
Right.
And then this got me thinking about the first round of the playoffs. Okay. So one team is hosting on week 1. There's going to be 4 games, and it's going to go from Friday night to Saturday. And from what I saw, it didn't say like how many on Friday and then how many on Saturday. Once again, logic would say there'll be 1 on Friday night and then 3 on Saturday. So they spread it out from say noon, 3:30 or something. It'll be spread out like they do the conference championship weekend. And that would be okay. But it could, if there's a 7 p.m. or maybe 8 or 9 p.m. On Friday night, because you don't know who might get matched up. It could be a 4 or 5 o'clock p.m. kickoff for a West Coast team.
Well, if you think about it, if a game is on prime time, now even 8 o'clock kickoffs are not 8 o'clock kickoffs. It's like 8:20 something.
That's right.
So they're probably going to do it at 8 o'clock Eastern. It'll be 5 o'clock Pacific. Look, I didn't think any of the Pacific Coast teams were going to make it except Oregon.
And they might have a bye, or they'll be hosting.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that'll be fun too. What if they're hosting?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to start filling up the stadium at 3 o'clock in the afternoon if it's an 8 p.m. kickoff.
They good with it.
Well, hopefully what they'll do is they'll put those games, if there's one of them, that one will be one of the Saturday games.
Right.
The Friday night game will likely be, I would guess, one of the probably East Coast teams, if not Central Time or something. But you know what? Just to give you some thoughts about, so like I say, things you only hear here on the Fun Fans podcast. And you know what it takes to think about all this stuff?
Well, you could also have some W energy drink to stay up to watch those games.
That's right. Get your W energy so you can make sure you get to watch all of your games. Go to w.gg, enter promo code FUNFANS and get 10% off of your Jitterless energy drink. All right. Now, speaking of football, and we've been saying this for a long time, it's right around the corner. Literally, less than 3 weeks away now before when we kick off against Georgia. Now, and that's going to be great. Don't forget our public service announcement. Saturday, August 24th is the last Saturday without college football for a while. And I think my wife made some plans. So she got to make the plans for that Saturday. And we're going to do something. And that'll be it. It'll be football until it's not football anymore.
That's right.
Special Rubens announcement, speaking of kicking off the season. Okay. At both locations, they're going to open at 11 o'clock. They're going to have like a kickoff party. This is the 31st, August 31st. And they're going to be putting your name in for drawings and all that kind of stuff. And they're going to try to make it a thing. And the one in Powdersville always opens at 11, but the one in Greer on Saturdays normally don't open till 3. But depending on the crowd, depending on the turnout, they want to cater to the college football fans. So get out there to Rubens, enjoy the wings, and they'll start catering their opening on Saturdays in Greer around Clemson's kickoff if necessary. Plus, you may win something depending on what they're going to decide to talk about. They talked about giving away a TV or something. Don't quote me on that, but just they're still in the planning phases. Okay. Another thing, speaking of the football, when I was looking through all this, there's going to be some good games coming up.
Yeah.
This is when they talked about the conference expansion and the teams coming here and there. The rival teams are still playing each other, like the Oklahoma and Oklahoma State kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start looking at the schedule and you're matching up Texas and Alabama, or some of the other big schools that don't normally play, I've said it before, I'm kind of looking forward to playing some people that we don't normally play. Stanford coming to Clemson, I don't know, it's just kind of neat to have a different name, different team, something different coming to town. And there are a lot of good games. Are there any certain games that you're looking forward to, Bailey, outside of course, all the Clemson games?
I cannot wait to see the Pac-2 championship game. It'll be a rematch of the only conference game.
Yeah, that sounds cool. All right. So
other than the Clemson games, I'm sure I'll be watching. Normally my Saturdays consist of, if I'm not in Clemson, watching Clemson and then pulling for whoever plays Carolina. So that's kind of my Saturdays.
There you go. They got a good schedule coming up too. All right. And then we hadn't had a show in a while, and some other news out of Clemson is Ben Bower helping the football team. You heard about that?
Yeah, I saw that.
I think it said as an unpaid intern, he's going to try to work his way up. A lot of people are excited about that. Kind of coming in. Is that late to come in? It don't matter, I guess.
Well, he's probably been working camps since forever. And that's how he's going to get some money. That's how he's going to get paid. It's working camps and things like that. But it's just a way, because there are restrictions on how many folks you can have and things like that. And it's just a way to get more eyes in there, more people. And he's young enough to get out there. I saw him actually out there doing some drills with them.
Right.
I remember when I could do drills.
He's that guy.
Not anymore.
I could definitely see him being one of the strength coaches. I think he would be. I don't know him personally, but just knowing his intensity, and obviously he opened a gym, so he's into the weightlifting and the fitness, and I could definitely see him being a really good asset to anybody's strength and conditioning program, more than likely. But anyway, best of luck to him and everyone on the staff. And, of course, the entire Clemson Tiger team. All right, the Olympics. The Olympics are over.
They are.
Congratulations to the United States. We are the champions. Did you see the final medal count?
I have 126 for the U.S. and 91 total for China, which was the next highest total. But we actually tied China in gold medals.
Yep.
Both countries had 40. And then France, Great Britain was third in total medals at 65. And France, the host country, was fourth with 64. And shout out to France because their basketball teams gave our basketball teams great games.
Yes. So one thing I speaking of the Olympics and the basketball, one thing I really enjoyed, and maybe I just enjoyed this because, we're old school or just old. I kind of enjoyed how the original Dream Team continued to get props on social media. Definitely pulling for the team, but that original Dream Team, people that, I guess if you're not at least a certain age, you just don't understand how we used to send amateurs.
Right. And so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say that year we decided to send our pro team. It was just like, oh yeah, it's on now.
Well, so I heard an interesting stat because yes, the United States had the most talent, but we are no longer playing countries that have no talent. There were in 30 years ago when the Dream Team played, I think there were 17 other NBA players on teams sprinkled throughout the competition. There are over 82 or 3 now.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the South Sudan team had a ton of NBA players. The French certainly did.
Right.
The Serbians, I mean, they have the best player in the league, 2-time MVP. So basketball has grown tremendously worldwide, but it's because of like the Dream Team. Like
that's right.
They're the reason, the Michael Jordans, the Larry Birds, the Magic Johnsons. And the interesting thing is Isaiah Thomas refused to be on that team if MJ was going to be on it. So, you can look into that later. But I do see your note that says you have to say that breakdancing was one of your favorites. However, I'm going to go on record and say that breakdancing is not an Olympic sport.
Unreal.
It is ridiculous that it's in the Olympics. There are sports that were left out to add breakdancing. And I have a new respect for wall climbing after watching some of that.
Spider-Man.
It was crazy. And there were like 40,000 people watching it.
Yeah.
And the incline was like 45 degrees backwards.
Wow.
Man, I get up about 2 rungs and go to clip that little carabiner and down she goes.
All right. Well, congratulations to all of our athletes in the Olympics. All right. Well, give us an O's update, B.
Oh yeah, man. See, everybody, they're only like 3 games above 500 in their last 40, but that's one of the best records of all the teams that are in first or second place in the whole Major League Baseball situation. And they're also the first team to get to 70 wins for the season. And that's the first time they've been the first team to 70 wins since 1979. So let's go O's.
Let's
go O's. All right, that's it.
All right. Speaking of let's go, a huge announcement. It is time for the huge announcement that was mentioned at the beginning of the show. Where's my drum roll? No, that's not it.
That wasn't it.
So we're going to skip it. Thanks to our partners at WSBN TV, the Fun Fans Podcast, teaming up with those guys. And we're going to bring sports fans across the upstate of South Carolina a new show, the Southeast High School Highlights. We're going to partner with a handful of schools of various sizes and feature their non-football athletes and teams. WSBN is all about getting coverage and attention for athletes who do not get the spotlight from other media. So we are on to something special. We're going to do something special for those kids and those families. And when I say we, I'm talking about myself and Coach Jackson and WSBN TV. So that'll be coming Wednesday, August 28th. So if you or you know someone affiliated with Clover High School, go Blue Eagles.
Bingo.
Spartanburg High School, go Vikings. Or Greer Middle College Charter High School, home of the Blazers, get fired up. Share this info with them. We're hoping to get a couple more schools, and this concept could really grow. Tell those folks to follow the Fun, for right now, follow the Fun Fans social media and WSBN. That's WSBN TV Find them on Facebook and Instagram, and you'll get all the information. And Bailey and I are going to start that show on Wednesday, August 28th. I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. All right. So that's it for today. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back to more. We got to get to the more specific tailgate talk next week. It'll be interesting to track how some of those start times work out throughout the season. And like you say, some people just make the best out of it, pros and cons and naps and W. And either way, we definitely look forward to kick. It is that time. People are the itch. It's like right here. You can feel it.
This is the calm before the storm.
That's right. So make your plans with your spouse for the 24th and get her done. Thanks again for checking us out each and every Sunday. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social media and share. Please reach out to become a sponsor. On behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, Jay Thriller Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and Bailey Jackson.
Hey, just remember, breakdancing is not an Olympic sport.
Yeah. And I promise I won't use this camera setup ever again.
I can't see you. Where are you?
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Good night.